And when I think about it right now, speaking with you, I think this is a pattern that went with me until today. Like when I'm so clear on something, I go, no questions. And I can't say no matter what the cost, but yes, I'm willing to pay the cost of going my way.
Welcome, beautiful souls, to Say Yes to Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Tessa Lynn Auburn, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. This is the space where we empower women like you to connect deeply with your soul, to shine in your business, and live a life filled with purpose and joy. Whether you're seeking to embrace your inner brilliance, cultivate meaningful connections, or be generously compensated for the unique gifts you bring to the world, you've come to the right place. As we navigate the busyness of the new year, we'll explore how to honor the dark, restful days of winter and use them as an opportunity for soulful reflection and renewal. So get cozy, get present, and let's journey together into the season of transformation. Hello there. Thank you for being here today. Our guest is from about halfway across the world. She is in Jerusalem right now, and her name is Yael Eini. Yael is a dedicated healer and author. She has over 20 years of experience. She developed something called karmic constellation, and it's an innovative healing method that allows people to clear traumas and change behavioral patterns by directly accessing their past life memories and soul records through the body. And this in itself eliminates any need for hypnotic regression. So as people see the origins of their issues, they can finally release old vows, contracts, and knots from the soul. She's a powerful integrator of psychology and spirituality, and she helps you connect to your infinite soul potential. She is also an author, as I mentioned. She's got 3 books. She's got 2 that she's authored. One's coming out in the spring, and she's starting her 4th book, I think, if I got that right. The one coming out in the spring in April is called Karma Healing, and I'll let her tell you about that in a few moments. And she's had a very interesting life, so I know she's got a story that is going to inspire you. I'd like to welcome her here now. Yael, welcome to Say Yes to Your Soul.
Hi, Tessa. It's wonderful to be here, and your voice is so soothing.
Oh, thank you so much. I like to try to remember that in my own life, because sometimes I kind of get into a serious voice, but it really does bring out the best in me when I'm working with people and when I'm having these conversations. It's like, my high self really moves in, and she helps me with that. So I'm very appreciative. Yael, you were sharing with me a bit about your younger life story, which was very unique. I mean, I don't think a lot of the people who are listening here today may not have had this kind of experience, but you went through a big change, and then you wound up causing a major shift in your own life at the mere age of 13 and a half. So I think that's going to be very interesting for people to learn about, and then your subsequent journey from there. So please go ahead and paint the picture of what was going on for you, your life in Jerusalem at an early age.
Yes. So I was born in Jerusalem, but then when I was a year and a half, my parents moved to a kibbutz, which is like a really tiny, closed community. And in this really tiny, close community, all the kids were living together. It's called share sleeping. That means like in 8 in the evening, the parents brought us to the nursing bedroom, sing a song, tell us a story, went back to their home, to their beds, And we, the kids, we all stayed together until next day at 4 p.m. So from being with my parents 24/7 in the year and a half, I was with my parents 4 hours a day.
So
And
that would have been a tremendous shock to anyone's system. And there you were, 1.5 years old, and suddenly your life care people, your mom and your dad, were suddenly missing from your whole day.
yes, talk about abandonment, you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not only that, kibbutz is really think about a small community that everyone not look alike, but supposed to look alike. It's an equal community. Everyone has the same. From like it's looked like in the out eyes that everyone are the same, doing the same chores, thinking the same. And if you have a uniqueness and you are like individual, it doesn't. They don't welcome it. So my parents are unique and not, they don't go with the flow. And people didn't like that. So they didn't like me because I was my parents' child.
Right. And it would be easier to take things out on the child than the parents. Yeah. But I'm really it's just curious why your parents went there. I don't know if you want to share that. You don't need to, but it's just so interesting.
Yeah. So my dad is actually from DC, from Maryland, and he came to Israel. He immigrated to Israel, and he met my mom in university. And my mom is from another way of living called Moshav. And they both said, okay, let's try something else. So that was the something else, not a city. My dad came from a city, not a moshav. My mom came from moshav. So no one experienced kibbutz, so they went to a kibbutz.
Oh my goodness. They were just looking for something different. They were just wanting the experience of it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say that there are lots of kibbutz and lots of people, and my story is sometimes not unique, but sometimes is unique. So I don't want the audience to think that all the kibbutzim are horrible, because it's really my only experience.
Okay.
So
thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. There are actually people that the shared sleeping saved them from their traumatized parents. So, you can look at it in both ways.
Yes, but not everybody goes there when they're 1.5.
No, there are people that are born to that, and they are go there when they're 3 days. Yeah.
Yes, and it's normal to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think it's normal anyway, but it's not my story. My story was I never fit the kibbutz. It wasn't like I wasn't belong there. I never fit there, and I suffered by being there. And I also suffered at my own home with my parents. So it's like being in a place, like my house was, when I stepped out of my house, there was a kibbutz. So it was like I had nowhere to run away, nowhere and no one. And I had lots of dreams of running away and lots of fantasies when I was really a child, 10 years old, that I wanted my parents to divorce. And I had this fantasy to ask the judge to send me to a boarding school. I didn't want to be with none of them.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually fulfilled, or in these days, I manifest that. Not that my parents they eventually got divorced, but when I was 13 and a half, I fight with my dad. It didn't hit me or anything, but I was really angry at him. So I left home, and I said, I will come back only if they will send me to a boarding school. And that changed my life.
So, did you actually wind up leaving when you had the big fight, or did it all happen in that moment? He went, okay, fine.
I left home. I will say one of the benefits of living in a kibbutz that the kids always have a place that they can live separate from their parents. So when I was 13 and a half, I had this place I could live in, but I wasn't really allowed to live. So I said, I don't care about the rule of the kibbutz. I am going to this place. I'm going to live there. I'm not going to speak with my parents and until they'll send me to a boarding school.
Well, I'm just amazed at your aplomb. At 13 and a half, you were really clear on exactly what you needed and what you weren't going to put up with. That's really incredible. Yeah.
Yes. And I also want just for you to understand, think about if I can relate it to someone of a really small Christian town, that everyone goes with the same rules. Everyone knows everyone. To go to rebel the community is like no one does it.
Exactly.
So I did that.
Yes, you did. And it's a lot of people don't do it because the fear of the shame and the exile consequences are so big that nobody wants to go through that. But you did. You just knew inside you. And so tell us what happened next.
So actually, I went to a boarding school. I think it saved my life. The way I tell the story, it saved my life because for me, the kibbutz and my parents' house was like a prison within a prison.
Yes.
So I freed myself from the prison. I lived 2 years in a boarding school. When I was 15, I like in grade 9, no, grade 10, I came back to the kibbutz for 1 year and then we left. My whole family left. But this rebellion thing, the acting out, showed me I can change my life. I can decide on my life. And I think I took for myself the power of decision that I didn't have before.
That is clear. That's really incredible to have that power of decision. So you got super clear. You just decided and you committed to it. No questions.
Yeah. And when I think about it right now, speaking with you, I think this is a pattern that went with me until today. Like when I'm so clear on something, I go, no questions. And I can't say no matter what the cost, but yes, I'm willing to pay the cost of going my way. Yeah.
I love that. I really want to celebrate that in you. So I'm just going to repeat it. You're willing to pay the cost of your decisions. I don't know if that's exactly what you said, but
going my way.
Going your way. Willing to pay the cost to go your way.
Yeah.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And like I can even feel the power of that in my own body right now as we're talking about it, right? There's like a settling that happens. There's a strength that comes into the body, and the nervous system just aligns.
Yes. Yes, I think it's, I think it's so hard to go away. It's against society. Even like for an entrepreneur, it's not what our consultant tells us. It's not all the commercials tells us. And we don't want to pay the price also. But when we choose to do that and we're aligned with that, our life, it's not that it's not hard, but it's I think it's like it's a guide for me anyway. It's a guideline in my life.
I love that. I love how you just expressed that. And as you're speaking, the word that comes to me is ownership, right? Like I take ownership
Yes.
of my choices and come what may, because those were my choices. They weren't prescribed to me. They weren't dictated to me. They weren't somebody else's idea of what I'm supposed to be living for or how. And I'm so glad you're here with this message today. It's so important because, we see women and men, but trying to fall in line, right? I got to do it right. I got to learn this because that's what somebody told me. Somebody told me. And if I don't, I won't succeed. And it's just not true.
Yes.
We succeed. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll pause there. Go ahead.
No. You're right, but I'm saying I can really understand the fear.
Yes. And you had this big breakthrough when you were young. Mm-hmm. Then what kinds of fears did come up for you, or what kinds of challenges did you go through in the next few years? Because it sounds like there were some there.
Yeah.
Before you had another pinnacle experience or a tipping point, I'll say.
Yeah, life doesn't, you can't, for some reason, we cannot develop without struggling. Still didn't figure out this creation stuff, that why we need to struggle in order to, or why we struggle only when we developed, but it's something within us as humans. Well, I didn't even like the boarding school, I will say that, because I'm not good in close places. Like I'm an individual. I need to live my own life. I'm not good in living 24 hours, 7 with other people. And so eventually I came back to the kibbutz, and it's like, am I going back? Like I struggled to fly from it. Is it a failure that I'm coming back? But I said I'd rather that than keep on being in the boarding school. I think when my parents moved to the city, that was a relief. And not that I didn't had struggle, like I had communication struggle with my parents and all kinds of, I think whatever teenager has. I think my major, how to call it, I don't know if it's a break, but my major second change in my life was when I was in the middle of my 20s, and I discovered that what I planned to do my entire life, I thought I'd be an organizational consultant. It's not for me. I don't want it. I don't like it. That amount of money is worth it. And then I was like in kind of a void of, oh, what am I going to do? I planned that for like almost 5 years. I knew exactly. I did the right degree. Like I did a BA in psychology and management in order to do an MA in organizational consultant. I worked in a firm that did organizational consultant. And suddenly when I discovered this is not it, what is?
There's a big question.
That was a huge question. And I went into 2 years of seeking, what am I going to do when I'll be a grown-up? And I was in the realm of personal development. Like I read books of personal development. I did manifestations. Working with my subconsciousness, but not in the spiritual realm.
Okay.
And then I was actually introduced to the spiritual realm to someone that did channeling and energetic work. And I thought I came to her for energetic work, and I thought it's a bunch of crap. Like I thought she's a charlatan and she's ripping me off. She put her hands on me. I didn't feel anything. She didn't speak anything. Like I knew psychology, but she didn't do any psychology stuff. How can it work?
Right. Wasn't in your paradigm of what's possible.
Far away from my paradigm. Far, far away. It was like, I used to, psychology, talk therapy. This is what I knew.
Yes.
But I had also crisis with that because it didn't took me anyway. So I understood a lot of things in my life, but nothing has shifted.
Oh, interesting. Yes. So you had a lot of knowledge and understanding, but your experience was the same.
Yeah, I remember that day I sat on the psychology couch and I said, okay, I see that. From the army until today, all I had was male figure boss. So I understand I have issue with my mom. How do I resolve that? And she said, first you notice, and then you change something, and then maybe it won't work. So like the way she spoke, I was like, oh, I'm going to be in therapy for the next 20 years. And still she doesn't promise me that something will move. I was like, I don't want that.
Yes.
I don't want that. So like I had a trust issue. I left psychology therapy that day. I really believed in psychology therapy before. And then, she broke my trust in that. It took me several years to gain back my trust.
You were really in the hero's journey, right? Like the loss of faith. Like your faith had been in this whole system, and then it was like this session with this therapist was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, that's your answer? That's not enough. And so this could have been I imagine was a really big thing for you. What did you do? How did you handle it?
Oh, I left her at the same moment. And also, like, I understood, okay, so I'm Gemini. I'm X generation, so I like answers and I like changes fast. Don't give me 20 years. Give me 2 sessions, 5 sessions, even 20 sessions. That days were like a lot. So I was looking for something that will replace that. I knew I need therapy. I knew I need change in my life. And I also seeked for, okay, if I'm not going to be an organizational consultant, what am I going to be? So like I had all those questions. So I was open. I will say I was open to get the answers in places that I didn't know that exist. I was open.
Yes, hence the channeler.
Yes. So the one that sent me to this channeler and healer, and I really respect her. Like she was my boss. She didn't do she did woohoo stuff, but she was like, she's not. She's also really academic. She's like a businesswoman. So I said, okay, if she goes to her and it works, I'll give it a chance.
Okay.
And yes, and the energetic sessions actually changed my life, changed a lot of things in my life in 3 sessions. Like I could see myself different. I act different. And, not like in psychology, I had no insight, but I changed my behavior.
Oh, how interesting. The total opposite of psychology.
Yes.
So you saw yourself differently? Is that something that started to happen and you started to have different behaviors?
Yeah, I act different. Like I could say before I did the session, I wasn't spontaneous at all. Like to take me in spontaneous from my home, it was a crisis. Like I didn't react well. After 3 sessions, I found myself going out of home to to meet a friend in the middle of the night, and I was like, that's not me. Who is that doing that? It's like so not me. I was like, wow, something changed within me. And the therapist, like the healer, she didn't even know that I didn't even know that it's bothering me until I changed the behavior.
Until you're doing things differently. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like simplified life.
Yes. So that must have been pretty exciting. And let's fast forward a little bit. You kept going clearly, and you started doing more spiritual work. And what occurred there?
So actually what happened is something like 4 months after I just started those healing sessions, I already knew I want to be a therapist, but didn't know what kind of a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I went to bed and I felt this huge amount of energy going out of my hands, like 2 projectors from the palm of my hand. Was quite painful. I really remember saying to my husband, wow, I feel like Jesus, like I can't move my hand, like I'm stuck to the bed because there is energy is going out of my hands.
Oh my.
I have no idea what to do with that.
Yes.
And then second night, the same. Then after that, I called my therapist and I said, oh, listen, this is what happened to me. What can you tell me? And she was like, yeah, okay, you have energy in your hands. You can send it to whomever you want. And I was like, wow, really? I have it? Wow. But for me, it was a message that this is the path I need to take.
The path of energy.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. And so you now had a new direction. You'd been asking, what direction am I going? What am I going to do instead of this other stuff? And you found something that really changed you in many ways.
Yeah, it was a turning point, because if you would speak with me a month before and tell me, oh, you're going to be a healer, a channeler, a medium, things like that, I was like, what? Like, why me? How come me? It's like, it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't in any paradigm that I have been taught and lived by. But when those energy went from my hands, I said, okay, that's the path. So I started learning all kinds of energetic modalities and start doing energetic healing work and channeling work, and did that for quite years. And then another break point came. I didn't want to do channeling anymore. I didn't like the responsibility I felt.
Yes.
And that people are coming to you and, tell me what to do, and they put everything on you.
Yes.
And I want them to be responsible for their life. It's like, it didn't fit me anymore to be the one that say to them. But it has prestige, it's a mystical thing, it's very sexy, and I had my reputation. So how do you give all of this? How do you say bye? How do you lose it?
Yes. And so people are counting on you. People are like, they want to be able to go to you and know that you're going to be there and not push them away. And it can be pretty intense, actually, when you're making a change like that in your life.
And it took me some years to understand, but it's also very an ego stuff, because I had this prestige and this appearance, and suddenly you say no to things that defined you. So it was really hard to me to I didn't like it, but I was hanging on it. It was like defining me. Who will I be if I'm not a channeler anymore? And
Yes.
that brought me into actually, I call it a business depression.
Oh,
And yeah, and then in that state of mind where I was quite depressed on the way I was acting in life, but not knowing how to change it, I got pregnant with my third child. So I had,
oh my goodness. Yes. So while you're going through all these big inner changes and you're changing what you're doing professionally and you got pregnant.
yeah, I wasn't even changing. I was so afraid to change. That was
Oh, okay.
depression because I was cleaning on that and hating that at the same time. So yes, and I was miserable. I actually was really miserable because I had no one to speak. I was like really the entrepreneur that was alone with her conflict, no one to speak with, no one to share. So got pregnant, got depression while pregnant, got postpartum depression. Like I got the whole package.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
what happened? I mean, what happened to turn things around for you? What came into your awareness, and were there any external types of support that started showing up for you?
so I want to say that eventually looking like in retrospective, the depression saved me because I couldn't handle anything. So then it was easy for me to let go.
Ah,
I had the kid to take care of. I wasn't so obligated to my job anymore.
yes. So depression, in a way, it did its job to save
Yes,
you from obligation to others.
yes.
Yeah.
And what happened? You asked great question, like what take me out of it? So like I was in this birthday party, a friend of mine, and she brought a person that did numerology with colors. And I remember I choose 4 and green. And the numerologic told me, so when you're study, you are alive. And I was like, oh, that's what's missing in my life. I am not alive. I haven't studied anything for a lot of time. I need to go and study. And that's what
And
saved me. And that's what actually took me out of the depression. I went on studying group facilitating. And
well, that's an interesting choice.
really, why?
I mean, that's not like something that people say, oh, I want to go suddenly learn how to work with groups. You know, that's like an evolution. But you just like came out of your depression, you got into aliveness, and you knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so it was either that or doing an MA, and I wasn't ready for the MA yet. And it was a 2-year studying. It was about personal development. And I also felt that it would be a good place to start working on my kibbutz trauma because it's a group.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're in a group, it's not even, you don't have to have kibbutz trauma. When you go to a group, all those constellation of your family all those shadow constellation of your family are just raising their heads.
Yes.
Yeah, so I said, okay, let's bring that, but also it's a group, close group. Let's bring all the shadow of the kibbutz.
So you were already aware of what was going to occur on some level. Like you were calling it in. You're like, I want to heal this. You weren't running away from your trauma. You were like, let's face it head on. I'm going to put myself in the pot with a bunch of other people where all the shadow stuff's going to get activated.
Yes.
And then I'm going to be healed. Yeah. That's pretty decisive and pretty amazing.
Yes. I didn't heal the kibbutz, but I did heal the depression, the pregnancy. Yeah.
Yes.
And I found myself back again with I didn't had any passion, not to life, not to work, not to anything, actually. And those 2 years, I found my passion again, which is a huge gift. Find when you don't have passion, you walk the world with emptiness. And it's such a hard way to live. And if you're a mother, I was a mother of 3, you fake it. And it's not fake it till you make it. You just fake it until God knows what.
Yes.
And it's so hard to be a mother of 3, be a wife, be be a person and look at your life and look at them and say they are meaningless.
Oh.
And that was the point. This is what I was before I went to learn group facilitating. And when I went out of group facilitating, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life and with whom I want to work and what kind of mission I have in life. And it really shifted my life again.
I think what I'm noticing here is like you just really were very connected inside yourself and you were listening to your own wisdom, your own clarity. And this, of course, has to only be coming from the soul. And you were seeking healing and you were open to healing and you were committed to it. And you knew it wasn't going to be easy to do these things. But you also knew there was something on the other side of all of this, all of that trauma, and that you weren't a person who was going to be happy faking it through life. And I think this is what we're talking about, like when we talk about soulfulness, right? I think it sounds to me like you were really listening to that deeper part of you that had wisdom that you couldn't yet really understand. But it kept leading you to the next healer, the next program, what you needed at that time to evolve and to be the individual that you are, along with bringing the contribution that you really wanted to bring forward, which is the healing of others.
Yes. You're saying something so interesting. It's like, you're right. I was always guided, but, I never looked at it like that. Like, I didn't feel I'm guided. Although I was a channeler, I didn't have this impression of, I'm connected with my soul. I'm aligned with my soul. Like, it was easy for me to sit like in front of you and to channel your life. But it wasn't, I didn't have any sense of I am guided by my soul or I am guided by my guides. I actually, talking about trust issue, I had lots of trust issue with my guides. Really, until several years ago, it's like, yeah, I'm not the person that is willing to, that other will tell her what she needs to do, including my guides. So I had lots of trust issue with them. So when I hear you, I think like, yes, I was guided, but I wasn't really conscious about that.
But it was in you. Like,
yes,
I know, like I can tell that when you've made a decision, there's an energy that happens in your body.
Yes.
Yeah, because I can feel that here in our conversation with you. That's not mine, that's yours. And there's a solidness and a determination. And I think this is what the soul is. Like, the soul isn't just like some character that we talk to, that it has its own personality and this, that, and the other. And, we always know what it looks like, but it's deeper than that. And
yes,
somehow you had access to that knowing. Let's call it your knowing inside of you. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you and I say, we are doing a mini session for me right now because I think it's remarkable and I think something like only 6 years ago, I start really connecting with like consciously connecting with my soul and working with my soul and being aligned with her consciously. And I don't have any trust issue with my guides anymore. I work with them in a way that fits me.
Yes.
Yeah, so like if you want to look at my spiritual path, it's like it took me lots of years to be there, even though I did all those spiritual things. And I will say that I think the 6 or 7 years, my last 7 years are like I am more connected. I work with them instead of just having them with me.
Yes.
I'm more consciously guided by them, which is actually what brought me, here to the show, to write the book, to be published international. It's a different connection when you're consciously connected. I think you can manifest much more things in your life. Like I'm looking at my life and I say, oh, I manifested a lot of things. But the more I become connected to my soul, the more I was aligned with my path and I could manifest more.
Beautiful. That's a really lovely statement and also a message to those who are listening here today, right? That the connection with our soul, we can sometimes we can strive directly for it. Other times we just keep leaning in and asking those great questions. And we can create more things. We can manifest more things over time. And so you and I were talking earlier and you said there was a piece of your journey that you really wanted people to understand or to get this in them today, which is not to give up on their dreams.
Yes.
And yeah, what would you like them to know about that?
So I want to say, first of all, we have lots of dreams, all of us. But when you're tuning in to like maybe your childhood dream. So my childhood dream when I was 8 was to be a writer, an author. But life took me there for many years. And now I'm publishing my 3rd book. I'm publishing it worldwide. So like I'm fulfilling this 8 years old and I'm writing my 4th. So I'm looking at this 8-year-old girl that really wanted to be a writer. And I said, oh, I'm living my dream. It took me something like 30 years to do that, but I'm living my dream. So when you have a dream and you really believe in your dream, life will help you creating that, manifesting that, it won't always be like you thought. Like I thought I would be a novel book writing because this is what I knew. But I'm not. I'm a nonfiction book writer. But I love writing, so I don't care.
And that's it. So now a different kind of energy comes through you and through your hands. You use your hands to write, like all that energy that flowed through you. It can work in your life in various ways.
Yeah.
And so I love what you're bringing up here is the childhood dream. And I do want to say not everybody had a childhood dream. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the dream comes later. And however, if you do have a childhood dream, I think it's useful to listen to those callings and and let go of what you think it's supposed to look like.
Yes,
that can be really helpful, right?
Yes, and sometimes your childhood dream was to be Superman, and it's an archetype.
Yes.
So it's not about being a Superman. I don't wish, none of us need to be neither Superman or Superwoman. We need to be people, humans. But it's about helping others. So Superman is an archetype of someone that helps others. So it's finding the way to help others in a way that aligned with you. So I think we all had childhood dreams, but yeah, no one can be really Superman.
That's a wonderful explanation of the archetype. I love that. Thanks for bringing that in. And it's so probably very resonant with a lot of people around, the greatness, right, of the archetype. I think that's what attracts us in, but really the resonance was already there inside of us because it was activating some of our gifts, right? Not everybody's great at helping others.
Yeah,
people are really bad at it.
Yeah, and you know what? There are so many ways of helping others, because even if you work in a grocery store and you're just pleasant to the people that buy, you're helping others.
Yes.
You don't have to be a therapist in order to help others. You just need to be kind.
That's right. Thank you for bringing that forward. And I want to make sure that, because I mean, your journey is amazing. I know we could talk about a lot of things, but I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with you, Yael.
Okay. So I'm all over the net. But my website is www.yaeleini.com, which is YAELEINI.com. And yeah, this is probably the best place to read about me, to read about karmic constellation, about past life healing, how to work with past life and how to bring healing to your life. Yes.
Nice. And your free gift, I love the free gift that you have for people. And I'll say more about that in a second, but go ahead and tell them what it is.
It's an undo vow workshop, which I found out that vows that we carry from past life really hooks us and not allowing us, even if we do personal development and healing work, many times vows from past life are just holding us back. So this is an exercise I really like to do in my workshop, and this is why I'm giving it, because it's time for us to live our life in the present and not be hooked or bound by the past.
Hear, hear, right? So we can actually utilize our choice and our free will, and without undoing those vows from past lives, we can use as much choice as we want. We're still going to feel like we're in a box somehow, or a rut. And I love undoing vows. I had my own personal experience of this, a couple of different specific ones, but one of them I'll share briefly, which was undoing a vow with one of the people that I worked for, my direct supervisor. And it was so night and day. Once I cleared the vows with that person, and I didn't know it was going to be with them, right? Like, I didn't know that we had a past life together. But when I cleared the vows that were made, suddenly, literally, I was being treated differently. It was obvious to everyone in the office. It was just strange, from being yelled at to suddenly being, the favorite.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like opening the veil and yeah, you can see things that you couldn't see, because the vow is like a really heavy veil that close your eyes.
Yes.
Really, wow, it's amazing.
Yes. So is there any last thing that you'd like to leave our listeners with today, Yael?
I think never stop seeking what makes you good and what is aligned with you, not with others. And also when you are aligned with what resonates with you and what makes you happy, then you have good life.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. Well, I want to also express my gratitude for your being here and for persisting, because I know, we met like a year ago or something, and here you are. And I'm really glad that you came and shared this luscious part of your story. So interesting. And for inspiring our listeners and with your messages. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting me. It was I told you, your voice is soothing. It's really fun and nice and pleasant to speak with you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. I will say farewell for now. I wish you a wonderful week and invite you to open up to new possibilities, listening from within. Listen to yourself and what's really resonating for you. All right. See you next week. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining me on this soul-nourishing journey today. I hope you're feeling inspired to embrace the stillness of the winter season, connect with your inner wisdom, and allow space for your soul to rest and regenerate. Remember, the darkness of winter is not something to fear or to rush through. It's a powerful time for growth, for healing, and for accessing divine guidance. Before you go, I'd love to invite you to take a moment to reflect on today's episode and perhaps explore the meditation I've created just for you. It's designed to help you connect with the angelic realms and invite love and guidance into your life. You can find it at sayyestoyoursoulpodcast.com/multiverse meditation, and I'll also link it in the show notes for you. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review and share it with someone you think might benefit from this message. You deserve to say yes to your soul, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, take a deep breath, honor the quiet, and trust that the universe is working in your favor. Stay present, stay connected, and most of all, stay true to you.